Corruption and hypocrisy ought not be the inevitable products of a democracy, but undoubtedly so they are today. These were the words of the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, and they stand true today. A government that came to power in 2014 promising to eliminate corruption and black money and every evil possible is itself marred in a controversy of the Rafale deal, in which the opposition has over and over alleged corruption. Now, elections are upon us. First phase is already over. And this time the Rafale deal issue has come up again, but not from within the country. Ambani's French company allegedly got 143 million euros in tax dues waived. This is what a report from a leading French daily has claimed today and has created headlines across France and India. Yes, 143 million euros were waived. And not just that, the very crucial piece of information here is that the taxes were waived just months after the Rafale deal was signed by the Indian government with France. Now, how does the 143 million maths add? We will come to that, but before that, since elections are on, the opposition has jumped on it. Press conferences were held through the day by the opposition, asking questions, demanding answers from the Modi government over the issue. There hasn't been a single speech of Congress President Rahul Gandhi which did not mention Anil Ambani and the Rafale deal. A court case in the Supreme Court also went on for a while, but the Supreme Court said that it will not interfere in certain clauses which talk about the corruption of the deal, which was again challenged by the opposition in the court. Clearly, one of the biggest issues this time emerging not from within the country but from France, and to decode the maths of this 143 million, we have our legal editor Vakasha Sachdev joining us right now. Vakasha, how does the maths of this 143 million euros of taxes being waived for Anil Ambani's French company add, and what does the report exactly say? How were the taxes waived, and what sources is the report claiming?
Okay, so here's what the Le Monde article says about sort of Anil Ambani and the Reliance situation. So what you have is a company called Reliance Atlantic Flag France. This is a subsidiary of Reliance Communications, one of Anil Ambani's companies, which deals with, and so Reliance Atlantic Flag France is also about voice and communications data, that kind of thing. So what you have is Reliance Atlantic Flag France are found to have not paid as much tax as they're supposed to by the French auditors. So this happens in early 2015. So around Feb 2015, the auditors there have given them a bill for 151 million euros. That's the tax amount they tell them they have to pay. Now this comes for a period of 2007 to 2010. They're saying they haven't paid 60 million euros, and 2010 to 2012 they haven't paid another 91 million euros. So it was over a small period of time, and then by Feb 2015 they were told, listen, you have to pay 151 million euros. Now Anil Ambani's company offered to pay them somewhere between 7 to 8 million euros to settle this, and the French auditors at the time refused. Now, fast forward to October 2015, and suddenly the auditors have agreed to this deal. And they say, fine, tell you what, you pay us 7.3 million euros, and we've settled this whole tax amount in this tax dispute. So from 151, you've come down to 7.3. So that's a waiver of around 143.7 million euros. Now, let's get this straight. There is a system of sort of going about these kind of settlements. That's possible under various laws, and French law, it seems, supposedly also allows this to happen. But 151 to 7.3, that's quite a large figure. Now, what has happened in between, obviously, is the announcement of the Rafale deal. And then obviously later we see Anil Ambani's company. I mean, there's obviously talk at the time itself, as you've seen in French media outlets, that there's some connection between Anil Ambani and the deal at that time itself. Those aren't, I mean, we've not seen it, we've not been able to obviously confirm or deny any of that going forward. But that's what sort of has been happening during this period of time. And obviously the next year now there are arrangements between Reliance and Dassault to do offset contract work, and they've set up a JV. So coming back to the tax bill itself, now Reliance, RCom has come up and said, look, you know what, there is no wrongdoing here. For the period from 2008 onwards, we were, suffering lots of losses. So we couldn't really be paying this kind of levels of tax. So we've therefore come forward and said, look, you're charging us 151 million euros. That's not something we can pay. Because think about that, comes to around somewhere between 1100 to 1200 crore rupees. So that's a lot of money for a company, and we know Arcom is in trouble. So they say that they can't pay that. But of course the question now becomes, why is it that the auditor initially refused to accept the settlement of 7.3 to 8 million euros, and suddenly now has later accepted it? That's the big question. I mean, the auditor had changed in between, so whether that's something which played into something, we'll have to see. But there's definitely a situation where they had a huge tax bill to pay, and that tax bill suddenly came down by a huge amount.
So clearly striking figures coming out there, 143 million euros of taxes being waived for Anil Ambani's French company. The math is not so difficult to understand, as we all heard Vakasha. Let me take your attention to this report in one of the leading French dailies called Le Monde. This is the report that created headlines all across the country today and has got the opposition into action. Now, Vakasha, the Modi government has always, claimed that it is a corruption-free government, and which otherwise talks about its spotless image when it comes to corruption and black money. While we do not know yet the details and what the involvement of the Prime Minister Modi government was there in this entire report that has come out, how do you think the government is going to defend this? Because clearly Randeep Surjewala, while holding a press conference today, said Modi hai to mumkin hai and Chaukidar chor hai and every possible allegation. So what do you think the government can do to defend this report now?
So obviously the issue here at play, which is obviously going to be the question for the Modi government and for the French government and for Dassault and for all these people, is going to be, look, was there a connection between the Rafale deal and this tax bill waiver? Now, for the Modi government, they're going to obviously just say, look, this is a matter of what the French government is up to. We don't have anything to do with it. I mean, the problem, of course, here is that we've got those comments by Francois Hollande in particular, which are, I think, quite interesting. I mean, he had in an interview to Mediapart said how they didn't have a choice about Reliance coming on board, that this was something which was part of the Indian government's formula, which had to be followed. Dassault insists, obviously, that that there was no pressure by the Indian government or anything of the sort, and that they picked Reliance to do it, to come on board as an offset partner. But, as we said, we've seen these comments from Francois Hollande, and that's sort of what is making this a big deal. I think if you hadn't had the former French president coming and saying, look, I think there was pressure from the Indian government, that I didn't have a choice, that the French government didn't have a choice and therefore had to pick these guys, I think that's what makes this so such an important flashpoint. So basically what you're saying is that the French president has said it was the government which got involved here and insisted these guys get part of the deal. Now, of course, why should that necessarily mean that Reliance Atlantic gets this waiver? Well, again, that's again a question of, was there pressure if there was pressure from the Indian government to get Rafale to get the Rafale deal to involve Anil Ambani's Reliance companies, could that mean that they also put pressure, and that to ensure that this went through, they wanted favorable treatment? I mean, we'd have to see some sort of proof. Then I don't think the article is making that direct connection between the two things. All we know is that this is the intervening factor between the 2 points. So, I mean, for the Modi government, their answer is just going to be, look, we have nothing to do with what the French government does. There's no proven link between what's happened here, so leave us out of this. It is, of course, the question here is that what we're seeing is a benefit to Anil Ambani, but obviously the as I said, the defense, and we're already seeing Arcom come out and say, look, this was all within the law, this was all entirely acceptable. So that's what we're going to see, is how they're going to spin it.
That's right, Vakasha. Now we all know that the country is currently in the polling phase to choose the next Prime Minister of the country. And now that this report has come out at a very crucial time, the Congress has been alleging corruption in the deal since the very beginning. As I said, that there is not a single speech of Congress President Rahul Gandhi which hasn't mentioned mentioned Anil Ambani and the Rafale deal. Now, how do you think this is going to influence the ongoing electoral process? Is it going to sway the voters in any way? Because as we know, there aren't many details that have come out about this report yet.
I think the problem here is that we don't really see enough connections yet. Now, we can speculate about what caused this to happen or what didn't, but we've not got anything on paper which is showing a link between, say, the Rafale deal and this. That's the intervening time factor. But there's a lot of things which they will try, which, Reliance has already pointed out. Look, we were this was an unsubstantiated amount of tax assessment, and we couldn't be expected to actually pay that kind of money. And I think the problem is, even for, the Congress will, and the opposition parties are well within their rights to obviously bring this up, because they've been for months and years now saying that Anil Ambani is getting benefits out of this whole deal. For them, this becomes a point to say, look, this is there. Is that substantiated? That's something which we're going to have to obviously, there'll have to be some further digging. Because you can draw a circumstantial link, but there isn't anything proven yet. So the question will become, where are there any other avenues where we're seeing Reliance companies get benefits after the deal was signed? And we'd have to then see, what is the level of communication between Reliance? One would have to obviously see what the opinion of the French auditors and the prosecutors is on this deal, on this aspect, because we know there is an investigation going on into the Rafale deal in France by their corruption watchdog at the request of a sort of civil rights and political action group. But we've not seen anything yet come from there at this point. So the question becomes, is there going to be anything further, whether from Le Monde or from anyone else, which is going to show this link between the deal, between the tax settlement being arrived at and the deal being signed? At this point, we don't see that yet. So I don't know if that's going to be something voters will be affected by. We will see, obviously, the Congress bring it up, but because it does feed into the broader narrative of Anil Ambani benefiting out of the deal. But as I said, at this point, we don't have any. I don't think there's enough to really sort of nail any.
That's right, Vakasha. Whether it will affect the ongoing electoral process or not remains to be seen. Whether it will sway the voters or not, it depends on the voters and the details that keep coming out about this report. But we have a few people joining us here on the live right now. Mr. Kumar Raj Yadav says Supreme Court must investigate this deal. There is something strange which will be out. That definitely remains to be seen, Mr. Yadav. Another person who's joining us right now, Mr. Mohammad Furqan, he has raised a very good point, saying, did Ericsson forgive your dues? No. Then how could a sovereign government forgive your dues? So, to remind our viewers, Anil Ambani was, entangled in a brawl with Ericsson India, where he had to pay over 400 crores of dues, which he was eventually helped with by his brother Mukesh Ambani, and that avoided the entire, Anil Ambani facing jail time. It just recently happened, and many other people are commenting that for jeopardizing national security, why shouldn't the PMO be charged? Now, that remains to be seen, because the details of this report are yet to come. The case is still pending and opposition is still, flaring up the issue as much as possible. But considering it's election time, चुनाव शुरू हैं अपने देश का अगला प्रधानमंत्री चुनने के लिए, second phase is due in a few days. The opposition has clearly gotten a brahmastra to attack the Modi government, saying, "Is bar to we didn't come out with any report. This is something which is coming from within France." So how are you going to answer that? The Congress held a press conference today. Congress spokesperson Randeep Surjewala attacked the Modi government with phrases like "Chaukidar chor hai" and "Modi hai to mumkin hai." So here's what Randeep Surjewala said today while addressing the media after this report came out in the French media.
How France has cleared the tax debt of an Indian industrial associate of Dassault. आगे लिखा, Anil Ambani, a close friend of Prime Minister Modi, benefited from a cancellation of more than 140 million euros in 2015 when Dassault negotiated the sale of Rafale to India. मैं दोनों अंग्रेजी और फ्रांस जो उनकी वेबसाइट से है, ये आज सुबह सनसनीखेज खुलासा हुआ है. तो दोस्तों, इसे बोलते हैं अंग्रेजी में जीरो सम चॉइसेस, स्टार्टलिंग टैक्स कंसेशन एंड मोदी कृपा. मोदी जी की कृपा जिस पर हो जाए उसका कुछ भी हो सकता है, मोदी है तो मुमकिन है।
That was Congress spokesperson Randeep Surjewala attacking the government on this latest report, which claims that 143 million euros of taxes were waived for Anil Ambani's company in France just months after the Rafale deal was signed by the government of India with France. So we will keep you updated as and when more details come out on this report. But for now, moving on to elections and Chunav and how things are going on that front. Last year, in a historic verdict, the Supreme Court scrapped Section 377, and while scrapping Section 377, the Supreme Court said that India and the institutions in India and every individual needs to be sensitized about the rights of the LGBTQ community. But here we spoke to a few transgenders who are still waiting for their voting rights. Now, our correspondent Srishti Tyagi, she interviewed a few transgender members who are speaking up their mind, saying how they feel left out of the electoral process and what do they have to face when they actually go to cast a vote. Here's Srishti Tyagi in conversation with a few people of the community.
The transgender community got the right to vote for the first time. Of the 4.9 lakh trans persons in the country, 28,000 of them were registered on the voters list and only 2,000 of them, which is less than 10%, came out to vote. आपने कभी वोटिंग किया है?
मैम किया है, लेकिन किस चीज़ में जाएगा हमारा वोटिंग? ना मेल में ही जाता है हमारा, ट्रांसजेंडर में जाए तो कोई बात भी है।
अभी अगर हम अपना आधार कार्ड भी चेंज करवाएंगे ना तो उसमें भी 4 तरह की बातें होती है। जब ये करते हैं उसके बाद ही वो समझते हैं।
और जब मैं इस लिबास में मैं वोट डालने के लिए जाती हूँ तो वहाँ के लोग हंसते हैं जब मेरी आईडी देखते हैं कि आप तो एक मेल हो और आपने ये किस तरीके के कपड़े पहने हुए हैं।
And we have our correspondent Srishti Tyagi joining us, who interviewed the community. And Srishti, how was your experience talking to these people? What do they feel about being left out of the electoral process?
Firstly, they don't feel like going to vote. That's the first thing that they feel. That they feel that politicians come to them, ask for votes. In fact, not just that, since these transgenders are considered blessed, the politicians also come and ask for their blessings and everything. But once they win, they're just shooed away. In fact, they also said that even if they go out to vote, they feel that people look at them, stare at them, and also ridicule them lot of times, basically.
So, what are their actual demands? What do they say? I mean, there are many who must be having a voter's ID and many who might not be. So what are the primary demands when it comes to feeling a part of this entire democratic process and this democratic exercise?
So first and the foremost thing that most of them said, that all of them did, most of them, let's say, did have a voter ID, but their problem was that either they were male or they were identified as male or a female on their voter ID, because they made it maybe before they changed their identity from their gender, basically. And now they need to go through a humongous process before they change their voter ID from a male or a female voter ID to a transgender. And that is such a long process that they just have kind of quit making it. That is the first thing. And in 2014, that was the first election that these trans people were allowed to vote officially. And some 28,000 of them were on the electoral roll, of which only 2,000 went and voted. So when I asked these trans people what could be the reason, this is where your question comes up, that why these people, what are their demands? They say, according to them, they say that the community, the society, despite all the legal, despite the High Court judgments, yet the society just fails to accept them. And they believe that if the society, the politicians, don't accept them, what's the point of them making the effort of going and standing in the line and also voting then?
So, a very shocking figure there from the 2014 elections, which Srishti just gave, that 28,000 of them were registered voters, but only 2,000 of them went and cast their votes because they still feel left out by the society. They still feel discriminated by the society. Now, clearly, the Supreme Court order, when it came, and the instructions that followed, that the society needs to be sensitized about the rights of the LGBTQ community and transgenders in general, that clearly has a long way to go, since the community is still feeling deprived. With that, I thank Srishti for her insights on the story. And moving on to Bihar. अब कहते हैं कि बिहार में एक कहावत हुआ करती थी कि जब तक रहेगा समोसे में आलू तब तक रहेगा बिहार में लालू. खैर, बिहार के पॉलिटिक्स में लालू जी तो ज़्यादा एक्टिव है नहीं, बट हिज फैमिली तेज प्रताप, तेजस्वी एंड राबड़ी देवी आर very much active and putting up a strong fight this time ahead of the elections. Now, politics has gotten in not just into Bihar but also within the family of Lalu Prasad Yadav, where Tej Pratap, the elder son, who got married last year to senior RJD leader's daughter, Aishwarya Rai, has been living separately from the family since then. He's seeking divorce from his wife, and there have also been reports of not just political infighting but a rift within the family. So today, former Chief Minister and the wife of Lalu Prasad Yadav, Rabdi Devi ji, appealed to her son Tej Pratap कि बेटा घर वापस आ जाओ, बहुत हो गया. While speaking to the media, she appealed to him to return home and be a part of the family and take part in the political process that is going on ahead of the elections. But meanwhile, she also made another statement where she has said that Nitish Kumar wanted to return to the alliance after joining hands with the NDA again. So a very big political statement coming there from Rabdi Devi. So here is what Rabdi Devi said about JDU and Nitish Kumar and the RJD alliance.
लेकिन मैडम ये भी कहा जा रहा है कि नीतीश जी कई बार आपसे मतलब आप लोग से मिलने की कोशिश किए ताकि फिर से एक बार मर्जर हो जाए, लेकिन आप ही बीच में
हम बीच में है, हम है आगे हैं, बीच में का हम आगे हैं,
आप नहीं
आगे रहेंगे.
आपने ही मना किया
ना, हम मना कर दिए.
क्या कहेंगे आप? क्यों आखिर क्यों मना किए? एक बार जब गठबंधन हुआ था,
कुछ हुआ, एनडीए की तरफ से उनका कुछ दबाव मिलता है, ठीक से सरकार नहीं चला रहे हैं, उनका बात को वैल्यू लोग नहीं कर रहा है. बीजेपी के लोग, भारत सरकार, नरेंद्र मोदी, चाहे यहाँ के सुशील कुमार मोदी वैल्यू नहीं दे रहा है लोग, इसीलिए मिलने के लिए पलटने के लिए फिर आ रहे थे, तो हम मना कर दिए.
क्या कोई
दबाव में है, बीजेपी के दबाव में है.
शर्त रखे थे कि लालू जी को पीएम या तेजस्वी जी को मुख्यमंत्री बना देंगे बिहार में?
ना कोई शर्त हम लोग नहीं रखे.
उनके तरफ से कहा गया था कि
उनका तरफ से कहा गया था, बाकी हम लोग शर्त नहीं मांगे.
उनके तरफ से ये कहा गया था कि तेजस्वी जी को मुख्यमंत्री बना देते हैं.
हाँ, उनका तरफ से कहा गया था
कि तेजस्वी मुख्यमंत्री बन जाए.
2020 में मुख्यमंत्री उबर रहेगा, तब तक घोषणा कर दीजिए प्रधानमंत्री के,
नीतीश जी के लिए.
हाँ, नीतीश के माने घोषणा कर दीजिए. प्रशांत किशोर बोले.
प्रशांत किशोर कितने बार आए थे?
5 बार आए थे.
5 बार. मैडम एक और सवाल है.
अब हो गया.
एक सवाल तेज प्रताप को लेकर सवाल.
अब घरेलू बात मत बोलिए. तेज प्रताप हमारा बेटा हमारा दिल में है, वो हम ओकरा दिल में है. बात होता है, दूर के डेरा है, बात होता है.
उनको कहे कि आपस आ जाओ.
So that was Rabdi Devi ji making some politically strong statements about Nitish Kumar, the JDU and the Alliance and NDA. Now talking about Bihar, our reporters have been going on ground to get you voices that matter, the voices of the people. Now what do sugarcane farmers in Bihar, a very big chunk of the farming agricultural sector of the state, what do they have to say about the previous government and what do they expect, and did the previous government, the NDA government, meet their expectations? Did Nitish Kumar's government in alliance with the BJP meet the expectations? Here is the Quint's correspondent Shadab in conversation with sugarcane farmers in Bihar.
ये गन्ना हमारा मुंह मीठा ज़रूर करता है, लेकिन इसको उगाने वाले गन्ना किसान, इनका मन और मिजाज फीका पड़ा हुआ है. इसकी वजह है गन्ना किसानों का बकाया भुगतान. केंद्र और राज्य सरकार इन गन्ना किसानों से तमाम तरह के वादे तो करती है, लेकिन क्या वो वादे पूरे होते हैं? इसलिए हम जानने के लिए पहुंचे हैं गन्ना के गढ़. यहाँ किसानों से जानेंगे कि उनके नेता जो उनसे नए वादे कर रहे हैं, उससे पहले उनके नेताओं ने जो पुराने वादे किए थे, क्या वो पूरे हुए?
पैसा भी दो महीने से।
And moving on from Bihar to Karnataka, H.D. Kumaraswamy's son Nikhil Kumaraswamy is now in the political fray and he is going to contest elections from Mandya. Now, when the ticket was announced, fielding Nikhil Kumaraswamy from Mandya, a lot of uproar took place, not just from the other opposition in the state, but also from within the party. Reportedly, many party workers weren't happy with the alleged nepotism that was going on in the H.D. Kumaraswamy family. So here is Nikhil Kumaraswamy in conversation with the Quint, talking about the upcoming elections, his constituency, and the JDS Congress coalition in the state.
I just entered movies and have another movie yet to release now. It is sympathy versus development.
Nikhil, tell us, you are contesting from Mandya, one of the strongholds of your party. How do you feel right now?
I mean, you guys are traveling with me since morning. I mean, you must tell the feeling what you get when you see such big gathering supporting you in numbers. I mean, this is something which JDS is always, they have always been with us, the JDS party workers, at whatever given situation. So I mean, I think.
Now, when we talk about the political natak of Karnataka, there has been a lot of to and fro and tug of war between the Congress and the JDS. Right from when they formed the government in the state, defeating the BJP in the previous assembly elections, reports of a rift between the two parties have always been rife, and the BJP has not left a single chance to say that this is an unstable government. Similar kind of a scenario was seen when tickets were being announced and the seat sharing was happening. A lot of drama took place over there as well. And Nikhil Kumaraswamy is contesting from Mandya, which is one of the very politically crucial seats in the state, created a lot of headlines, and also again created headlines of a possible rift between JDS and Congress over the issue. So is Nikhil Kumaraswamy contesting from Mandya, has it widened the rift between the two allies in Karnataka? That is an analysis with being given to you by Arun Dev. Here's what Arun Dev thinks.
The alliance between the Congress and the JDS is projected as a success story of a coalition ahead of the 2019 general elections. But for the alliance partners in Karnataka, the biggest challenge lies here in Mandya, a district 100 kilometers away from Bangalore. For decades, the Congress and JDS have been rivals here. But ahead of the elections, the senior leadership of both parties have come together. But the question remains, will the grassroots level party workers accept this reality?
Have taken a step in the right direction, and definitely they support my decision.
The coalition has three main challenges in launching Chief Minister's son Nikhil in Mandya. First, resolving the traditional rivalry between the JDS and the Congress in Mandya. Second, overcoming the perception that the JDS is a mere extension of the Gowda family's politics. And third, to fight the popularity gained by Sumalata, yesteryear's actor and politician.
That was Arun Dev with an analysis on the Congress-JDS coalition, a rift in the Congress-JDS coalition in the state over the Mandya seat from which JDS leader H.D. Kumaraswamy's son Nikhil Kumaraswamy is going to contest in the upcoming elections. Now, when it comes to elections, हमारे politicians vote मांगने के लिए कुछ भी कर सकते हैं, and this previous week was full of such incidents, right from singing songs on air to using the word Kamal Kamal hundreds of times in one particular line to doing the Nagin dance. Yes, absolutely. Those were the kind of stories that kept us entertained in the previous week. So here are some of our top picks. Congress spokesperson Priyanka Chaturvedi broke into an Ekta Kapoor jingle. Yes. The entire controversy over the qualification of Union Minister Smriti Irani is something that the Congress has targeted her on over and over again. Now, while there are some discrepancies in the declaration of her qualification in the election affidavit from 2004 and the subsequent elections in 2009 and 2014 and this year, Congress held a press conference saying she is not a graduate now, but how did she declare herself a graduate in the 2004 affidavit? That was the question that was being raised by Congress, and Congress spokesperson Priyanka Chaturvedi actually broke out into the song of Smriti Irani's famous show Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi, and not just that, she sang it. Yes, so log on to the Quint's website for the full video where she's actually singing that song in the and modifying the lyrics of the title song of Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi. Another such top pick of the previous week where you go like, wow. BJP candidate Mahaswamy claimed he was a god. Yes. And this is what he exactly said. Don't go away on voting day considering the long weekend. Even if you decide to go to Pandharpur to seek blessings of God, you are unlikely to get blessings, as I am your God who can speak. Sure. Another such pick, Minister MTV Nagaraj did the Nagin dance. Well, if I'm going to just show you the video right here, where Karnataka Housing Minister MTV Nagaraj broke into a Nagin dance for a full 10 minutes. And that's a tiny clip of Karnataka Minister MTV Nagaraj there. Doing the Nagin dance with excited party workers and supporters there. So yes, all such things have made headlines in the past week, and that's not it. There are a few more things to go. One sec. So that was the Nagin dance. Another statement that came was by Union Minister Menka Gandhi ji. She was addressing a rally in Sultanpur, which is her constituency. It said, in that rally, she said that, it will not be a good victory for me if Muslims don't vote for me. But then she said something on the lines that, I might not be inclined to help you if I don't get your votes. A very, very controversial statement coming there from the Union Minister in her own constituency. And many such things have happened in the past week where the comments and the actions of politicians have made you go like, what are you even saying? So we have all those reports on our website. Follow the Quint's website. One other such pick is Hema Malini ji. Hema Malini ji, the MP from Mathura, is clearly in the news for a lot of reasons, for her photo ops and working in the fields and whatnot. Hema Malini decided to address the monkey business of Mathura once and for all. When she was asked about all the, menace created by monkeys in Mathura, she had one thing to say, and look who she blamed for it. BJP MP Hema Malini responded by calling out visitors who spoil the monkeys by feeding them with samosas and fruity. So according to her, that is the problem of the monkey menace in Mathura. Ki how can you feed samosas and fruity to monkeys? And her solution, wait for that, suggesting an elegant solution, Hema Malini says feed them only fruits. So, wow, I don't know what to say about that, but these were our top picks of the week where the headlines made you go like, click on it and I want to read what this particular politician has said. We have all such updates on our website, so keep tracking the Quint's website for continuous election updates. Fake News Factory is continuously churning out fake stories related to elections, be it on the voting day or otherwise. Do not fall for them. Send us your queries and we will get the truth to you. Social media pe kaun kya keh raha hai? Things like do not feed fruity and samosa to monkeys to curb the menace. We are going to tell you that via a social dangal initiative, because आजकल चुनाव social media पे भी लड़े जाते हैं. So on our social dangal initiative, we will tell you what is happening on the internet. क्या हुआ तेरा वादा? What happened to the promises that you made in the previous elections? If your constituency has unfulfilled promises, your minister has unfulfilled promises, your MP hasn't delivered according to your expectation, do get back to us. We will publish the reports and you can be a citizen journalist and help spread your message ki kya hua tera wada. So stay tuned every day at 4:30 on My Vote Daily Dispatch for interesting and exciting updates of the day about elections 2019. We still have 6 phases to go. So all those constituencies that are going to polls, please do go and vote. आज के लिए इतना ही. Thank you. Namaskar.